It's working. I'm just going to move that microphone away from my mouth a bit. I won't have to talk loud. I know this microphone is oversensitive. Um, so I wanted to do this video for a bit because some of the stuff, say this first video that we're going to have a look at is just like, oh, God, this is written really bad. I've only seen the first one. Let's watch that first, and then we'll watch other ones. Yeah, we're going to definitely be.
It's one of those nights where you just
We'll make it full screen. Let's just check that we are actually. Yes, good. Sometimes you do these videos and it doesn't screen share whatever you're watching. All right, let's do it. So this one is Jeff the Killer Explained, short animation on Infographic Show. I do like the Infographic Show. I like how they do their presentations, and the guy's actually a pretty funny commentator. Actually, I've got to admit, he's quite clever.
can't seem to enter that final stage of sleep where deep sleep embraces you. You turn over and over, drifting in and out of consciousness, having strange, nightmarish thoughts during your micro sleeps. The day was oppressively hot and humid, so you left the window cracked to get a breeze, and now the curtains seem to expand and contract, like lungs filling with air. It's kind of relaxing watch.
Oh, hang on. I don't think this is the one, actually. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, it must be. It must be. Let's go back. Sorry.
My brother, Lou put down the knife.
Okay, yeah. So we actually just want to skip ahead to the. Okay. This thing. My bad.
Be empty. In the weeks to come, you'll be just another statistic, another missing kid, one of thousands of young folks that go missing in the USA each year. In time, your family will give up hope of ever seeing you again. You become one of the 115 children that year whose disappearance has been officially recorded as stranger abduction. It's true that every year scores of young.
If this is actually a true statistic, why don't the police put more resources into finding missing children? I think that's more concerning than a lot of other crimes. I mean, we're talking about a human being, a child, somebody's beloved child going missing, and if 115 a year go missing, well, that's a very scary thought. The fact that nobody finds these people, yeah.
Young people just vanish into thin air. Sometimes they go out and don't come home. Sometimes they're at the shopping mall with their parents and just disappear, never to be seen again. Sometimes they're snatched from their beds during the night. There are real-life boogeymen out there, maniacs on the loose, skulking around quiet neighborhoods. So, who is Jeff the Killer? Is he responsible for those unexplained abductions? Is he even real?
Look at that face. I mean, this is hilarious to look at, honestly. If someone come up to me looking like that, I'd just laugh. And I'd probably think, dude, are your eyes going to fall out of your head? Like, you have no muscle tissue or, eyelids or nothing to stop that eye from popping out. I think bone is the only thing stopping that from happening.
Moving to a new place in your teens isn't much fun at all. You make friends, and then you have to abandon them. Jeff and his brother Lou, the move wasn't so difficult to accept. The new house was fancy at the least, and the neighborhood didn't look too bad either. No sooner than Jeff, Lou, and their parents, their new house in order, the nosy neighbors came around to say hello and check out who they'd be loving or hating in the next year or so. To break the ice, one of the neighbors invited the family to a birthday party.
Okay, can I just say that actually doesn't happen in, this is very loud, wait. No, just want to turn the volume down. Not dead. Well, I mean, look, neighbours just don't actually do that anymore. Like, it's very rare for neighbours to come around and say, come over for this, and it doesn't really happen, actually. So, it's like, you can know your neighbours, but a lot of just kind of just leave each other alone. It's kind of like an unwritten rule, just to leave people alone. So.
The neighbor Barbara explained that her son Billy was about to have a birthday party. Jeff's mom Margaret said her husband Peter as well as the kids would go. At this point, Jeff and Lou were in the back.
Okay, and as a child who just moved to the area, both children have the right to turn around and say, well, you can go, Mum. But we're not going to because we don't even know them. So rather not. Okay, you don't have to do something just because someone tells you to. Like being an adult, it's like one of the whole things. You don't have to do something. Sometimes it's more polite just to go, look, sorry, it's just going to be awkward if we show up. Appreciate the offer, no problem, no thanks.
Background listening, both of them feeling kind of peeved that their parents had agreed on their behalf to go to a party of some kid they didn't even know. Young Jeff had always had a problem with authority, and he was quick to tell Mom that she shouldn't do stuff like that. He stormed off in a huff,
Jeff is right.
retreating to his bedroom where he threw himself down on his bed and skulked. In that moment of teenage angst, he felt something really strange inside him, like his very own pair of anguish, an acute pain in his stomach. He felt hypnotized by his own anger. How
Hormones.
dare she do that, he thought. He then came out of his enraged trance, not really knowing what had come over him. The same thing happened again the next morning as he was hastily eating a bowl of multigrain peanut butter Cheerios.
Hormones. Kids have hormones. That's a very normal reaction.
There was something in his stomach, this time a grinding pain, and there was that feeling of rage again. He didn't know if he liked it or not. Maybe it was just moving stress, anxiety about going to a new school, meeting new kids. Some of them were bound to be jerks, that was for sure. He realized he was gripping his spoon so hard his knuckles were white. He was trembling with anger. But Jeff's anxieties were justified that morning at the school bus stop. Some wise-ass kid did an ollie on his skateboard right over Jeff and Lou's legs.
Nice. That's some skill. Nice.
Had he messed that, he could have snapped one of their legs like a twig. Jeff didn't know it then.
No, it wouldn't have snapped your leg like a twig. She would have moved your leg. So, no. Let's just leave your leg there ready to get it squashed by a skateboard. No, it's not going to happen.
But this was the beginning of an end. The skateboarder was soon joined by two other kids, and in true Stephen King fashion, there was one cool kid, the skateboarder, whose name was Randy, a nerdy-looking kid named Keith, and an obese kid whose name was Troy.
I love how they describe these kids. So it's just so like savage. You're a fatty. You're a cool kid. You're a nerd. I don't even know that a nerd looks like a nerd, to be honest, but go on.
These kids would become Jeff's mortal enemies, his bête noirs.
Mortal enemies at the age of 14. Right.
Literal French, that means black beasts. Well, look what's been dragged into the neighborhood, said Randy. A couple of new freaks to kick around for a while. The fat kid guffawed, and the skinny-looking nerdy kid just stood there motionless. Randy explained to Jeff and Lou that as new kids on the block, there was a tax to pay, calling it a bus fare, and intimidatingly, he got right up in Lou's face. Lou stood his ground, pushing Randy back, but in a moment of outlandish anger, the fat kid whipped out a...
Okay. Here comes your first big red flag. Okay, fat kid. That's got your DNA and fingerprints all over it. Number one. Number two, you carried that knife with the intention of using that knife, which means that you had, well, it's not first degree murder, because that's premeditated plan. I would say that's second degree attempted murder, which probably carries a sentence if police ever used that, which they never do, of probably like 15, 20 years. So, but the fact that if you haven't murdered someone with the knife, I'd probably say you're probably down to 5 to 10. Still a long time in jail. Just saying, let's continue the story, okay? So that's real adult thinking on Mr. Knife carrying person there.
The knife. Randy turned to his two bootlicker friends and said, well, looks like these two kids are going to have to learn the hard way. The fat kid wielded the knife right in front of Lou's face and proceeded to rifle through Lou's pockets. He then passed.
How brave. Three onto two, one having a knife.
Passed a wallet to Randy. All the time, Lou was thinking how inconceivable it was for three kids in a wealthy and quiet suburban American neighborhood to mug him and his brother on their way to school. Jeff just sat there, boiling, raging, on the verge of exploding.
Again, no. I mean, if you've ever been mugged, the idea that someone could do that to you, yeah, that's a perfectly normal response. Been mugged before, yeah, not a great feeling. So I can tell you, it is like that.
Devilish feeling again filled his guts. He felt possessed with anger, and he finally growled at Randy. You give that wallet back to
Actually, you wouldn't do that. just let them take the wallet and go because your wallet ain't worth your life. Um, yeah. You can replace cards, you can replace cash, you can't replace your life. So it ain't worth it. Not saying that you should give in all the time. I'm just saying that his reaction probably would get him stabbed.
To my bro, I'll knock the teeth right out of your friggin' head. Jeff was seething and would respond physically or come up with a smart retort. He punched Randy square in the nose, shattering.
Well, he had every right to. They were robbing him. Okay, they were committing a violent crime. Jeff had every right to do that. So it's not a problem. He didn't need to have a retort. They had already crossed a line that was well past acceptable.
Shattering it like porcelain. Lou hadn't seen Jeff do that before, but he was even more surprised when his younger brother grabbed Randy's finger and sucked it. Jeff took Randy's knife, but soon Skinny Keith and Portly Troy were on his back. Wait, Keith.
Pretty sure after they saw their friend getting punched in the face, they would just run away. But since they want to continue the cycle of violence, then it's all on them at this point. Again, they crossed the line and now they're extending it. So they could have walked away. They could have stopped what they were doing, but they kept going.
Keith took a stabbing for the team and went down like a sack of bricks. Jeff pushed Troy off him and hit him so hard in the stomach that Troy threw up as he crawled on the floor. The scene was a massacre. Lou had...
Nah, it's not a massacre. But I guess from a child's perspective, yes. But from an adult's perspective, no. I would have just said, yeah. So Keith gets stabbed, if I understand that correctly. And Troy got punched in the stomach or kicked in the stomach.
Never seen anything like that before from his brother. Man, bro, what the hell's gotten into you? The two ran to school, right at the bus. Jeff looked behind and he could see people on the street attending to the wounded kid.
No, they wouldn't do that straight away. Yes, they would attend to the children, but after seeing them mugging the other children, they would be held in citizen's arrest, okay? And then you've got two adults who will testify that these three little shits were attempting to violently rob two smaller children, okay?
Kids. Did he feel remorse that day as he sat in his class, listening to a teacher talk about verb conjugation? No, he felt the opposite. He felt alive. He felt the violence in his very marrow. He loved violence. This was a new discovery for him. Part 2, Jeff the Maniac. Jeff got home that evening and his mom asked him how school was, to which Jeff replied,
"Look how small he is to his mum." Okay, assuming that's the regular height of a, I don't know, like, so that those benches are about 130, 120 centimeters tall, maybe, between that. So we'll add, so that means that Jeff is approximately 130 centimeters tall, maybe 135, which is like, it's like maybe 5 foot, maybe below it actually. Below it, yes, below it. He's a shrimp.
awesome, as the sweet memory of the beating and the smell of someone else's blood filled his senses. But as things tend to go, Jeff wasn't exactly off the hook for executing what the justice system calls a serious assault.
No, that wouldn't happen, okay? They would go and talk to Jeff and the other children involved, but he wouldn't immediately become the prime suspect. They wouldn't immediately be charged with anything, okay? Because that's not how police work. This part, this whole police thing is just, I'm sorry, but from an adult perspective, there's so much wrong. We'll go through it when they talk about it, but it's just so much wrong. It just pisses you off. Like, you just sit there and you're just like, are these people being serious right now? Like, do they not understand how the criminal law system works in any way? Like, where's the investigation? Where's the trial? Where's anything? It's just straight up wrong.
Not to mention using a deadly weapon on a child. The cops turned up at Jeff's house and...
Okay, his DNA, the fat kid, Troy, would be all over that knife since it was his knife. His fingerprints would cover that knife. Okay? There would be a purchasing receipt with him buying that knife. It's not Jeff's knife. So no, they wouldn't suspect Jeff immediately. Okay, especially since Jeff and his brother just moved to the area. Okay, they just moved. There was probably other violent crimes with that knife and those kids. I just have to check the records and realize that Jeff and his brother were just victims and responded in a way, okay? So no, that wouldn't happen. None of this would happen.
And explained that their son's outstanding wrath had caused some serious injuries to 3 kids that were in the neighborhood. Jeff, as stubborn as ever, explained to the cops and his distraught parents that he'd been the victim of the violence.
Well, that would be usually enough to say, okay, well, let's go down to the station and make a statement about what happened. Okay, and then we're going to check your brother, and then we're going to check the other kids. And we're going to check the adults who watched the whole thing. Okay? And then that should put an end to all this. Okay? Usually. But of course, because we're doing this, the person who wrote this story,
and he had only retaliated in a comparable fashion. Comparable, said one. I got 2 kids in the hospital with stab wounds, and another kid that looks like he's been kicked in the stomach by a racehorse. Jeff had to try.
No, they don't react to. They don't react. Police don't react to saying, "Oh, I've got 2 people with stab wounds and one person that looks like they've been hit with a club or something." Right? They don't react like that. They're going to say, "Okay, well, let's collect the evidence." Okay, because evidence matters in a crime. And yes, they've been injured, but why were they injured? Okay? And they're not going to immediately assume that Jeff just randomly ran up and stabbed 2 people, bigger than him, and kicked a third. Like, why would 2 children, who clearly are very small, do this? Okay? That is not how that works. Okay? Police are not stupid. You're saying that the police are stupid.
Try really hard not to smile. He bit his. What could he do, though? The game was up. There were witnesses. There was forensic evidence. Okay.
There were witnesses and there's forensic. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, 2 small children being mugged and then one reacting. They didn't see that. Bull poop. Bull poop. Don't believe you. Don't believe you. This is my don't believe you face. See? Almost like my serious face. But it's like, do you think I was born yesterday face kind of thing.
Jeff said, it was me, but I was only sticking up for my bro. Those guys got the knife first. I just finished it. Jeff was already thinking about spending a year in what he heard.
No, he wouldn't go to jail for that. It's stand your ground in America. He wouldn't go to jail. Period. Especially when he wasn't the one that actually brought the weapon to the event. Okay? So no, he wouldn't go.
Nicknamed Gladiator School when his brother Lou came rushing down the stairs. The knife in his hands, Lou said, "It was me. Don't arrest my brother." Lou put down the.
Why was Lou keeping the knife? He should have just left it at the scene. The hell would you keep it for?
Knife, and the cops cuffed him. All the while, Jeff was telling him that Lou was lying, that it was he who was at fault.
Look, okay, assuming it's an average-sized man, look how small that child is. Okay? Look how tiny that child is. Like he's like literally, his head is just coming up to about 4'6", maybe less. Okay? There is no way kids that small are being the aggressor. That is not real. Seriously, these police are terrible at their jobs. If that's their version of an investigation, that they don't even make an official statement, they're just going to take the child's word at what he said because he was holding a knife. It could be any knife. It doesn't have to be the knife, right? And I mean, you said it earlier. I mean, we can go to that point. We're at 6:40, but okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it for you. So it's between here. I think it's about here.
Racehorse. Jeff had to try really hard not to smile. He bit his lip. What could he do, though? The game was up. There were witnesses. There was
knife, witnesses, fingerprints. So the knife that Lou has is not the same knife. They already have the evidence. Okay? So I'm just going to say that that part of the story is very inconsistent with what they just said. and that was within the space of 24 seconds.
For the bus stop carnage. As his brother was taken away in the cop car, Jeff sat in the driveway weeping. Done.
That's a pretty normal kid reaction, by the way.
For days, Jeff stayed in his bed with the curtains closed. He couldn't go to school. He couldn't even sleep. He just lay in bed depressed, feeling as if darkness had chosen him, abused him, manipulated him. After a few days, something unbelievable happened. His mom waltzed into his bedroom as if nothing had happened.
She's on drugs. Like, she's on Prozac or something. Like, that woman, there's something wrong with that woman. Like, no way the kid is in jail and he act like that.
As if she hadn't just lost a son to a brutal penal system, possibly for many years. She just whipped back the curtains and jovially exclaimed to Jeff, "Guess what day? What the?"
Seriously? But who comes into someone else's room, especially a 14-year-old who's probably, doing stuff under the sheets and starts whipping the curtains open? Seriously? Like, this kid is 14, he has access to the internet. I mean, do I need to say more? It's called knock, Show a little respect.
Thought Jeff. As this woman lost her mind? It's party day, said his mom. You remember, before all that nonsense.
And again, Jeff has the right to say, no, I'm not going. You go. I don't have to go.
With the knives, we were invited to Billy's birthday bash. Jeff was rather displeased with his mom's patent lack of empathy. Come on, Jeff, she said. So your brother's gone for a while. Don't let that spoil another.
Seriously? That is some bad parenting. This parent should be at the jail trying to get her son out on bail or something. The hell is wrong with them? They can afford this nice house, but she can't afford bail? What a joke. And what kind of a criminal system just takes a child into jail because he said it was him? Okay, that's just not how the police system work. Okay, like I said, there has to be a full investigation before anyone just goes off to jail. All right, you can't just go to jail. That doesn't happen. All right, there's a whole process. That's wrong. It's completely wrong. So wrong. And there is no way that this parent would be acting like this. Okay, this person has mental issues. Like this person's normal. This person has a mental issue, like majorly. This person's like the only sane person.
Otherwise, beautiful sunny day. You'll always be my beautiful son. Let's go have some fun. For some reason, Jeff didn't like being called beautiful. He noticed she'd really gone overboard with her clothes. She was dressed to impress, and this bugged him even more. When the family arrived at Barbara's house, Jeff noticed that all the adults were wearing fancy clothes. All of them. It seemed they were trying to impress each other. Some of them were noticeably drunk already, talking loudly about their many accomplishments and the wonderful, talented children they'd brought into the world.
I'm sorry, but who's this party for? Is it for the child or is it for the adults? Like we're talking about a child's party, and let's assume that they are like let's assume this Billy is like the same age as Jeff, like 14, right? Usually a 14-year-old wants to go-karting or like a male, go-karting, fishing, or hang out with friends somewhere at some place, like maybe get some money to go like hang out at the shop somewhere or something. Like, I want to hang out with their family. Come on, they're teenagers. I want to go find chicks. What the hell is wrong with this? We're talking about puberty at its highest. Come on.
Go on in the yard and play with the other kids, Jeff's mom said. This would prove to be foolhardy, given Jeff's track record so far with kids in the neighborhood. And then it happened. Just as Jeff was starting to get along with the children, Randy, Keith, and Troy appeared.
So, what are they doing there? Gate crashing. Okay? Where are the parents for these children? Perhaps they would say, stay away from the child who just stabbed you. Maybe just saying.
Still looking a bit beaten up, but no doubt ready for another round with the new kid. Randy said, "You didn't think this was done, did you?"
No. I'm not really sure what to say about all of this, but okay, it wouldn't really happen in real life. They wouldn't be allowed to be within 500 feet of each other, but you can go on.
Done by a long way. Again, Jeff was reminded of countless teenage movies he'd seen. Ensued was a one-on-one with Randy and Jeff. Jeff headbutted Randy, breaking his recently fixed nose yet another time, and blood splattered on the faces of the younger kids, sending them running around the garden in hysterics. The small kid froze, and as a teddy bear dropped from his hands, you could see a wet patch form and expand on the front of his.
That's his reaction to violence. He pees himself. Oh my god. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh man. This is why the world is soft. You know what happened in my day when we saw violence as a group? We all circled around. Fight, 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 fight. Unfortunately, it was usually me and stuck in the center of the fight, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, it wasn't, there's no way people are peeing themselves. Jeez, man, like, that's not what happens. Oh my god, that's funny. What a pussy.
His SpongeBob shorts. Jeff got the better of Randy, but then the two goons pulled him.
They pulled out a gun. A gun! Oh my god, the police didn't go to their house to check them for weapons? Didn't investigate them? Again, what kind of policing is this? Is this clown police? Like, I mean, is there any even police work even involved in this whole thing? Come on, guys.
Pulled out their guns. This was unheard of in the neighborhood, and even some of the parents were now running into the distance. Someone call 911.
No, they wouldn't. Okay? No, they wouldn't. Their children are in danger. They would pick up a weapon and charge the gun-wielding maniac children. Is what would happen. Okay? When fight or flight kicks in and you see your child in danger, you're not, no matter how much of a coward you are, you're not going to stand there and watch them get hurt. Okay? That is just normal human reaction. That is not what these people would do.
Jeff couldn't do anything with guns pointed at him, and before he knew it, Randy stabbed him with a knife.
Attempted murder. And now that the plans to go to this party with a gun and a knife, that's first degree attempted murder in the which carries a maximum penalty in America of 25 to life or lethal injection. And as these are little turds and no one follows the law here, I'm giving them lethal injection. No, I'm giving them old Sparkies. We all want to show.
Troy and Keith laughed like the goons they were, and then Randy just started beating Jeff to it.
Yeah, so attempted murder with the knife stabbing and then trying to beat him to death. Right, yeah. Full attempted murder there. That's attempted murder in the first degree. Okay, let's establish that. Attempted murder in the first degree. And if they had succeeded, it would have just been straight up murder in the first degree.
He dragged Jeff into the kitchen, whereupon he picked up a bottle of vodka and smashed it on Jeff's head.
Again, attempted murder. I mean, a bottle is a lethal weapon. It's a glass with sharp bits. It carries a lot of weight. It's like being hit in the head with a brick. It's attempted murder.
But Jeff didn't fight back. He took every punch, every kick. His face was dripping blood. A shard of glass was sticking out of his head.
Jesus, man. Just learn to stop and you know, and not the fight. You have a gun and you've got a glass sticking out of your head.
Stomach was punctured, but he didn't fight back. Come on, said Randy. Hit me. Jeff just took more shots to the face, but he didn't retaliate. To try and light the fire again in Jeff, Randy shouted, "You bro some dude's girl right now, and that's all because of me."
I'm talking about girl. In no part of this story was there ever mention of a girl. All right, there's no mention of a girl whatsoever. Okay, there's no girl in this whole story.
Fight me. Part 3. Jeff snaps. And that was it. That was the final straw. Jeff felt that rage build up inside of him again. He lurched at Randy like a rabid lion. He pushed him down and smothered him with his incredible strength. Randy was helpless. Jeff drew back his fist and punched Randy right in the heart. A shocked look appeared on Randy's face, like he'd just seen the devil himself. He took one last breath, blood bubbled from his mouth, and he died there and then.
What? He died of a punch to the chest. Oh my God, guys, if you're going to write a story about a one-punch dude, look, statistically speaking, and a tiny kid like that does not have the physical power to punch you in the chest. Okay? the chest is got protected by a rib cage and there's a lot of muscle tissue. I don't know if you've ever had. I've had to do CPR on people, and I can tell you what, it's you have to put a lot of effort into it. That is, and I'm talking like you're leaning your weight onto it, right? You're leaning your weight onto it. I'm like 80 kilos, right? So that's not like right? That's the thing. You feel the power. That is definitely wrong. Okay, a small card like that just does not generate enough force. It doesn't matter how fast they are; they don't generate enough force. And a one-punch deal usually happens when you get clocked in the jaw somewhere, like it just hits you in that spot where the jaw slides up and like hits you in the brain or sends a concussion wave into your brain, and then you pass away. That would never happen. Okay, that's statistically impossible to get punched in the chest and die.
The parents there still couldn't believe what they'd witnessed.
Eddie Hall might be the only person in that sort of category. So those world's strongest men guys would probably have enough power to hit the average man with enough force to kill them with a single punch to the chest. Maybe. And I don't even know that would be possible. Like I think if you got like one of them ballistics zombie dummies and got like world's strongest men to punch it in the chest to see if it's even possible to even do that, that would probably be the only way you would ever find out. And I'd still be pretty skeptical about whether or not they would actually just one punch a dude in the chest and then that's it.
There were children that had become feral, animalistic, bestial. Roy now turned their guns on Jeff. They fired and missed. Jeff ran up the stairs past the fence now and
so that's attempted murder number 3, by the way. A gun. I mean, this is clear cut. These kids should be should be on death row. Right? They're little psychopaths. Right?
a state of shock, their faces whiter than.
Why are these parents standing there when the friggin' little murdering turds are in the kitchen in front of them with a gun and knife? Like, oh, sorry, the two with a gun now. Sorry, yeah, the other one died from a punch to the chest. Of course, and you got Dingus here and Dingus 2 there, and they're just kind of standing there, like not like parents at all. Like, these are the worst parents I've ever seen on a cartoon thing. Just absolutely terrible at parenting.
And the new ceramic tiles on the kitchen floor. Now out of bullets, Troy and Keith pulled 9 on Jeff.
Out of bullets, so now they don't have the gun anymore. Where are the parents? Where are them running up and tackling them? They're not doing anything.
But soon Jeff had a towel rack. He cracked Troy's balloon-sized head with the rack, knocking him clean. Skinny Keith realized he was probably now out of his depth, but it was too late. There was nowhere to run. They were both in the bathroom fighting, and suddenly they hit a shelf and a bottle of bleach fell on them. Inexplicably, the bleach was open and the boys were both covered.
What kind of idiot leaves a bottle of bleach in the bathroom? That's not where you leave bleach. Bleach gets left with the chemicals. You'd never leave it in the bathroom with the lid off.
Keith screamed as the bleach burned his face, and that's when Jeff caved his miry face in with his handy towel rack. As Keith lay on the floor, not far from death, he smiled. "Funny, huh?" said Jeff, somewhat nonplussed, even though he was no stranger to strangeness. "Look at you," mumbled Keith through bloody, broken teeth. "You've been doused in bleach and vodka." Keith's last effort to beat that new kid was to throw a cigarette.
Attempted murder number 4. That's like the 4th attempted murder. And this is all in the 1st degree, by the way. These people should be put on death row.
Jeff burst into flames, and screaming he ran.
Jesus. That's bad. That would hurt. And he'd probably never survive that. I think 33% of burns, usually people suffer burns like at that level. Like 33%, and that's death.
Downstairs and through the house. He was a ball of flames, a human inferno. Parents stood back in horror. Jeff collapsed. Last thing he remembered about that day. Part 4. Jeff the Killer. The next thing he knew, he was lying in a hospital bed and he couldn't move. Almost his entire body was covered with bandages. Suddenly he heard, "He's awake." It was that familiar voice of his overbearing mother, but this time he was pleased she was by his side. "Jeff," she said, "Lou is out. Witnesses told the police that Randy had first produced the knife."
What? They kept his little brother in jail. Like I said, the person who wrote the story does not know how this works. And that's what I mean, that this would not have happened. That witnesses would not have just randomly come forward and oh, that would have changed everything in that time frame. Like, I mean, silly, that would be from the Jeff family. That would go on, right? So they've been put in mortal danger twice, and the police did nothing. Although I will say the parents did nothing either. And that was a failure of the police to protect that family because they didn't actually do a proper investigation. And his brother Lou had his deprivation of liberty taken away. Yeah? Sorry, liberty taken away. That's deprivation. Yeah. So that's some serious sinning going on there.
Your brother's free. We're going home, a family again. Jeff felt a twinge of relief, but it was hard to be happy when it covered in third, second, and first-degree burns. He tried to smile, and then he realized that he had no lips to smile with. His mother saw her son's pain. Good news, though, Jeff. Every cloud has a silver... She didn't finish her sentence, this time being self-aware enough not to be chirpy in a horrible situation. Sometime later, both Jeff's parents were there when his final bandage had to be pulled off. This is gonna hurt a bit, the doctor told Jeff, as those final bandages unfurled from Jeff's face. He was taking...
You don't say. Why is his face white? Skin doesn't heal back like that. That's
their disgust, but something hardwired into their brains wouldn't allow them to hide their terror. Jeff asked for a mirror. The doctor told him,
this reminds me of that Lisa Simpson thing. Mirror! Mirror! Dental plan? Dental plan? Yeah, that's why I remember that.
just start with one part of your face and then move to another part. This might come as a shock to you, but you'll soon get used to it. Jeff didn't take that advice and instead just grabbed the mirror. For seconds, minutes, he stared at that mirror, moving his head from side to side, studying every angle. His parents were waiting for him to cry, to scream, to collapse in shock, but as Jeff kept looking at his new face, a white, leathery face, a face without eyelids, without anything resembling normal lips,
and I'm pretty sure that sort of injury, after being stabbed in the guts, shot at, and set on fire, pretty sure he wouldn't even be alive, but okay, go on.
it just looked as though he was happy with the results of his personal tragedy. It's perfect. He's just perfect. He wasn't crying. His mother noticed he was trying to laugh. When Jeff was left alone, the doctor told his parents that their son was in shock, and it wasn't unusual for someone to act that way. The reality, he said, hadn't just set in. Just take him home, the doctor said, and give him a lot of support. Of course we will, said Jeff's mother, feeling ever so slightly guilty that she was glad about the fact that Jeff would be easier to control now that he was damaged goods. Oh.
No, that's not how a mother would react. They'd probably just think, thank God my father's not dead,
said the doctor as he was walking away. Don't let him be alone for long.
That doesn't really track, but okay.
That night, while the family was sleeping, Jeff's mom was awoken by a strange sound coming from the bathroom. When she entered that bathroom, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Jeff was carving a smile into his face with a knife. He'd also cut off what remained of his eyelids. How do I look, Mom? Jeff said earnestly. She couldn't even speak. She couldn't move.
I'm a full joker. Come here, Bookies. Come to Steve. Come to your Steve. Yeah? Come to your Steve. Oh, come over here.
Ooh, the woman was petrified. What's up, Ma? Don't you think I'm beautiful anymore? Yeah, she said, while slowly backpedaling out of the bathroom. You are my beautiful son. You'll always be my beautiful little honeypot. She then ran for it, got Jeff's dad, and the two of them tried to wrestle the knife from Jeff's hand.
Probably the first adult thing I've seen them do.
What? Jeff screamed. You lied to me. You don't think I'm beautiful. He was too powerful for them. The rage had...
No, a 135 centimeter child who probably weighs $150 is not too powerful for two adults. And if he's that crazy, they would wrap his hands in a towel and pull, like wrap a towel around his hands like that and take the knife. Right? They wouldn't. No.
Returned, and it wasn't difficult to stick that knife into both of them. Jeff stood over them, their lungs drowning in their own blood. It was a beautiful sight. He was Jeff the killer. That's what he'd always been, a killer. He had one last stop before...
No, he wasn't always a killer. He was clearly just a kid on hormones. Like, going through hormonal changes. And, yeah, he was surrounded by stupid adults. So, I'm not really surprised that he went crazy. When you're surrounded by, when your peers are that stupid, I mean, it's not really surprising that you end up down that sort of path.
Before he left the house and fulfilled his own prophecy, Jeff walked into Lou's room. Standing at the side of Lou's bed, he put his leathery hand over his brother's mouth. Lou suddenly looked at Jeff with wide open eyes. Your brother sunk a knife deep into his stomach. "Shh,"
That was unnecessary.
said Jeff. "Just go to sleep." Part 5. Jeff the Thriller. We weren't kidding at the start when we said that in the US, scores of young people are abducted by strangers. But did Jeff the Killer ever actually exist?
No. I've done a lot of extensive research on serial killers. Nothing meets this expectation. Oh, sorry, none of this meets this story at all. There isn't even the slightest bit similar to any serial killer or abduction. It's just nothing.
Most of you already know that this is fiction, but what really gives it away? If you go back from the original Jeff the Killer story, there's always a part that says, excerpt from a local newspaper, ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. Okay, so first of all, the headline of that story, ominous unknown killer is still at large, would never be a headline in any newspaper anywhere. Trust us. We have former journalists and editors on our team of writers.
Oh, well, that's thanks.
The writer of Jeff the Killer seems to have found that adjective ominous and then gone and used it wherever he can. Secondly, the first paragraph is badly written. Listen to this. There, in the little ray of light illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes.
Mm-hmm. Dark, ominous eyes. What is it, a wolf?
Ominous again. But the grammar also isn't corrected in the first sentence. As for a pair of two eyes, that's called a tautology, and no news editor on earth would allow that to go to print. So we know at the very beginning that this tale is not true. If the point was...
We've established that the policing in this is so terrible that there's no way that this could be true. We've established that. We've gone through basically how policing works in a very, very minor, poor way. But we've established that there's no process that was followed in this whatsoever.
Was to make it sound believable, the Jeff the Killer writer messed up right at the start. As for a young boy attacking other young boys, murder spree, well, there just haven't been any murder sprees of this kind since the story was first published in 2011. So what about Jeff's amazing heart-stopping strength? Well, let's just take a giant leap and say Jeff was possessed and had superhuman strength for a 13-year-old kid. So there is...
Oh my God, he was 13. Right. Well, that's even worse than 14. He's definitely not going to have... Oh, yeah.
something called commotio cordis, which can happen to a person when they're struck in the heart region of their chest at just the right time. And yes, it can kill. You can actually find quite a few stories of when this is...
Baseball bat, baseball. Not quite the same as a punch. That has leverage and power and weight. That has hit one just under the sternum, I guess.
happened to young people, although baseballs were the killer, not punches. What about Jeff going up after having a vodka bottle smashed over him and being doused with bleach? Firstly, not much vodka would have gotten on Jeff. Secondly, you couldn't set a person on fire if you splashed vodka on them. It's not flammable enough. Remember that Keith somehow threw the lighter? We're guessing it was a Zippo lighter with a wick. But even then, vodka? No way. As for the bleach, which made Keith and Jeff scream, well, bleach can irritate the skin if it's not washed off. But it wouldn't make a person scream unless, possibly, it was poured into their eyes. And another thing, bleach isn't flammable. It's just not believable at all. Jeff would now be 22 years old and still on the run after killing all those kids he didn't kill. He wouldn't be hard to spot, given that he has horrific scars from burns and a smile cut into his face.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see us. The infographic guy isn't too bad. Like, he actually, you know, it's very clear that he understands. Let's see. I'm going to go look for that other one. I'm just going to check the time and what we're seeing. Maybe we'll end this one. It's gone for 45 minutes, guys. We'll end this one here. We'll watch another one another time. We've done, hang on, let me just get the screen share there. Okay, yeah, so we've done 45 minutes here. That's long enough. So we'll end it here, and we'll do another one next time. That was, yeah. Guys, if you're going to write a creepypasta about, you know, details. Details matter. At least do some research on how things work before just going, oh, right, yes, this is how this is going to happen. No. No, if you want your story to be good, make it believable. That ain't believable. It's silly.